go. Here we go, people. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy, joy, joy. We like Mondays. We always like Mondays because we get to hang out with happy paper people.
Yay!
Awesome. Hello, Melanie. You are the first one in. Yay. Awesome sauce. I don't know if Melanie's package has it gotten to you yet. Probably today. I didn't look it up. It'll probably delivered today. Hey, Chris. Chris from Tacoma was here. Oh, I know. Do I watch it on TV where it's big, but then I can't chat? Do I watch it little and then I can chat and then maybe later put it up on the TV, watch it again while making them? That's what I do often. Hey, Margie. Welcome, welcome. So glad y'all are here. Margie is getting us started with the super chat. Thank you, Margie, for kicking that off. We have a new tradition here at Happy Paper People, and that is every time we go live, anyone and everyone who makes a super chat gets in the drawing at the end of the live stream for the prize pack. Oh, awesome, on your iPad. An Indigo paper project, that is Margie. You said hi, Margie. That is Carrie. And Carrie is here live with me today to keep me company. Have somebody to do. So our prize pack, this is a lot of fun. The prize pack includes in it some of the things that we have made on Monday Jumpstarts, some supplies, things that I have found that I have 2 or 3 or more of, stamps and dies and stencils and things like that. And we ask you to pay $5 toward the shipping. All of the items in the prize pack are free. Just pay $5 towards the shipping. When you are the winner, and don't pay any shipping right now, please do not. When you are drawn the winner at the end of the show, the winner will be given the option of either send $5 towards shipping or pay $10 for shipping, in which case I pull out a flat rate envelope that ships for $10 or $10.50, depending on where you are. And I'll fill that envelope, which is a lot more than just what's in here. Carrie got hers last week. What was your favorite item in there?
Oh, wow, that's tough. There were so many. Probably these Nuvo markers, the Nuvo Flow.
Aqua Flow, is that? Yeah.
Yes.
Carrie got a pack of Nuvo markers. If I happen to be down in the shop and looking around, I'm going, there's only one of these left. I'll stick it in for somebody. So you never know what you're going to get in that prize pack, but it's always, always, always going to be worth it. Hey, Sherry, good to see you. And Sylvia, hello. Happy Monday. It is a lot of fun. So I'm not going to go through the whole prize pack, but every Monday or every time we do a live of any kind, we're going to do this. And what I do is at least give you an idea of 1 or 2 things that are in that day's prize pack. I'm trying not to move it around a lot because I know it's really crinkly and noisy. This one has a paper pack. They are book pages from 5 or 6 different books. They're all very, very old, and they are 5 or 6 different languages. No English, all different languages. So I love that paper pack. I've got a few more of those, so they'll go in a few more bags. This one also has a couple of stencils. One of the stencils was too large to fit in this bag, so it's sitting aside. And it has some book jewelry, a spine dangle in there. So that is today's prize pack. So to get in the drawing for the prize pack, all you have to do is do a super chat at the bottom by where you type in a comment. It says super chat. You click on that. That's how you do a super chat. Any amount, which helps keep HPP afloat. And then you go in the drawing at the end of this. We'll do that drawing live, so you get to see who wins right there. So let's see. Oh, Sylvia, that is awesomely sweet of you. If you don't have the ability to do super chat, you can send it by PayPal, and I will put you in the drawing because I know sometimes people's super chat does not work for whatever reason. And that part of the technical side, I don't know why. So I can't even explain it or tell you how to fix it. Thank you, Carrie. So let's see. We've got Margie and Carrie already in today's drawing. Okay, so who is going to work along with us? Where's Glennis? I thought Glennis was going to do it today, for sure. Chris, thank you, Chris. Chris is in the drawing for today. Today we are going to use an old file folder or a new file folder, whatever you have. I've got both old and new. Pulled out an old one here. And we're going to use paper scraps. And this is one of those things that we just never want to get rid of. We don't want to get rid of the file folder because I know it's useful. And there's a lot of things that you can do with it. And it goes a long way. One file folder will do a lot in today's project. And scraps. We always have paper scraps. Melanie, you're so cute. We always have paper scraps of all different kinds. I pulled out a container of scraps of gel prints, and I've also got a container of scraps of just scrapbook paper. Oh, look at this. Let me show you this. These are really pretty papers. I know that there's some of these in today's paper pack. Ooh, I like these. These are not necessarily scraps. They're just small pieces of paper, and I know that there's some of those in today's pack. So just scraps of all different sizes we can use, and we're trying to use scraps or lose them. And that's not a threat, that if I don't use it, I'm going to lose it. That's a use it. And if you're not going to use it, lose it. Toss it in the trash. Get rid of it. Get it out of your way. It's taking up space. It's becoming clutter. Hi, Jill. Welcome. Welcome. I was here at 10:45, decided to update my laptop. I knew it was a mistake. That's okay. Laura, that's okay. Crafting for the rest of us. That is Laura. And we just started literally like 5 minutes ago. So no worries at all. Okay, so if you're going to craft along with us today, we are going to use an old file folder. And we are going to make two things. One is mini file folders. Let me show you some of these. These are all different shapes and sizes because sometimes you just want different shapes and sizes. So these are just mini file folders. These all are oriented on the right side, and those are 4 different sizes. You could do it on the left side. They can be tall. They can be short. They can be skinny. They can be anything. All different kinds of file folders there. I'm going to show you how to make those. And then we're going to have some leftover pieces of the file folder, and we're going to use those to make journal cards. The journal cards can have a tab built in so that it, like it stands up if it comes out of a pocket or if you were to put it in a Rolodex kind of thing. And they can have they can have none, so they could be used like a bookmark. They can be whatever your scraps are, long and thin, tall and thin. They can be short. They can have a tab that you add on top out of the same paper. They can have scalloped corners or decorative. And these are all bases just with pretty scraps of my paper. So they could be used just like this. Or if I felt like it, I could add any decoration to them. So when we go to do these, then we'll talk about the tabs because there's multiple ways to make the tabs on the top. So I'm going to set those aside for a minute because we're going to start out by... We're going to start out with the mini file folders. And I've got some here from one that I had been working on a couple weeks ago that I can still work on. But I'm going to start with a new file folder, a new old file folder, so that if you're starting with me, you can see how to do it from the beginning here. And here's the thing. If you cut it differently than what I cut it, don't worry. Don't freak out because honestly, there is no wrong way. There are so many different ways. I could just right off the top of my head show you 4 different ways to cut this to do the file folders. So it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The first thing that I typically do is cut off the bottom, this folded side. That folded edge is going to give me this. Okay. And then I can cut this up into however many I want to be mini file folders. Now, I'm going to cut the top. I'm going to cut the top in some manner. It might, it might have a little bit of space here between these two. It might not. That's totally up to you. Again, there's no right or wrong. It might have a little tab here. There's an even smaller tab right there. It might have a bigger tab. So it can be anything you want. But the point of that is that when you cut this, when you determine your width of cutting it, make sure to leave enough room for file folder. And why did we just go blurry? That's really weird. Come on, focus. Probably because I have nothing but clear, not clear, but just a solid like cream colored thing here. There's nothing for the camera to focus on. So let's see if we can get the camera focused again. Yay, Melanie has a file folder. Okay, we get some color in here and it will help the camera to focus a bit. It has a hard time with just the solid. It looks white and it reflects off the light into the camera lens. So I want to leave enough here that I can cut it down and still make the tab. If I wanted a file folder this tall and I cut it to this tall, I have nothing left to work with. So then you end up making teeny weeny, teeny tiny ones, not just tiny ones. So again, it doesn't even matter how tall you want them. This one I cut at, what's that, just over 3, like 3 1/8 inch. I didn't measure it. I just put it up here and go, okay, maybe about that big. And if I cut it about 3 inches or so, that leaves me enough room that even if I wanted to cut it down to teeny tiny, I can. I just can't go any bigger than what I cut it there. So I'm first going to cut that small section there off, and now that is ready to go. Okay, let's do that first, and then we'll come back and deal with the other pieces, other sections, because there's a couple of other ways to make the mini file folders out of these sections too, and then you can choose as many pieces as you want just to do journal cards with. So now I have to decide of this piece, how do I want to divide it up? How many mini file folders do I want? I don't know how long these are. What are they, about 11 inches long or something? 12? Probably 12 because they hold 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, or 11.5. So I could divide it in thirds. That's a cute little folder. Maybe I want them even smaller than that. And so if I divided in quarters, you know. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut it down to whatever sizes I want. And I'm not even going to measure. I'm just going to cut some off. I'm just going to cut some, and they're not going to be the same size. And I love that because in the end, I want different sizes and I just don't want to have to think about and decide exactly what size do I want. It'll just come out. It'll just turn out. Okay. So now I have this. And it doesn't matter if you put these foldy things over here in the front or the back. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to put them in the front there. And now I have the same height on the top. I'm going to cut the front one down. And so if I want the tab in the back here, and if you wanted it in the front, you could just turn it around and do it like that. But if I turn it on like that, it's still in the back. So, you know, it doesn't really, that's what I say. If you cut it here and you thought I did it there and it's not the same, you can't mess this up. You just really can't. Super easy. Okay, so I want to just decide about how big do I want that little tab to be. I think it looks like about 1/2 inch to me. It's, yeah, right about 1/2 inch. That's a good amount for a tab. So, and I normally just cut that. I don't really measure it. So, but I'm trying to measure it for those of you who want to know how much. About 1/2 inch there. I'm going to cut off about 1/2 inch of the front. So now it's 1/2 inch lower. Okay. So then I could leave the tab all the way across the back because you know those big file folders that have a full length tab? There are some like that. I could leave it like that. In fact, let's do that so we can do all different kinds. I'm going to round the corners so it actually looks like a file folder would. Here we go. I mean, just like that, you've got a file folder and you decorate that and that's super cute. Doesn't have a single tab. It has the full length tab, but maybe you want to put a little label on it that goes into your journal. That works. Okay, so let's take the next section. Same thing. I'm going to cut off about 1/2 inch. Okay, and this one I'm going to make a tab. I'll make the tab on the left side. And so I'm going to say, how big do I want that tab to be? And I'm going to cut level or just above, but I'm going to cut level with the front half of it over to where I want my tab to start. About right there. Again, it doesn't matter if it's a thin or a thick tab, doesn't even matter. And now I'm going to cut straight down. Okay, there's multiple ways to do the tabs too. I'm going to show you a super easy way. If you want a square tab, there's a square tab. Real easy. You can take that right there and round these corners. That one is not as easy to round, but you can round it. And if that tab seems too tall, just cut the tab off a little bit. It's a little tall for me. Doesn't need to be that big. So I'm going to cut the tab off a bit. And I'm going to round those corners again. Okay, when you get to the inside one, it's awkward because you can't get against this because of the file folder underneath. So you just take your scissors and you just cut a little bit around. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't matter. Nobody even notices. There you go. Now, if you wanted to, see how this one off this particular file folder is sloped just a little bit as it came down. This is the actual tab that was on the folder itself. So I could take one of these and I can cut the front off. And then I could come along here and say, okay, where do I want the tab? I'll make the tab about to here. And then I could just start cutting it. And I'm going to cut a sloped. I just cut a little slope, almost an S, not quite. And then just cut that section out. Come back here and just kind of slope that corner. And you come up here and you can kind of correct, fix, perfect, whatever the top. If the top is not, I don't like doing this by hand because I don't get a very rounded corner. I prefer to use a corner rounder. That top seems a little tall. I'm going to cut off just a little bit of that, which means I have to slope that again. And then the outside one I can do with the corner rounder. And then I'm going to do the two that are on the front of the file folder. See how quick and easy that is? Let's get this corner here. Okay. Not measure. I know, not measure. And it's so easy. This is so easy. And they're so super cute. I mean, aren't they just stinking cute? And you can even go smaller, even go teeny tinier on these. I'm going to do some teeny tinier ones in a minute. Margie has me always thinking teeny tiny. Here's the last one in this grouping of 4. So I'm going to cut that one off. I'm going to, let's see, maybe I can go from this angle and do a little bit better on my slope. And then just cut that section out. And honestly, if you ink it or decorate it, that slope really disappears. I mean, mine's not perfect and I'm not going to worry about it because I know from experience that once I decorate and put a little ink on, maybe put a word right there, that you don't even notice the imperfection of that slope. So it's totally good. It is really almost impossible. I can't say literally impossible, but because I don't know, maybe you could, but it is almost impossible to mess these up. There's just always a way to fix them, to use them. They're just so simple. So yeah, so Margie, I have one of those too. It's a punch board from We Are Memory Keepers that makes the file folders with the little tabs. And I thought about pulling that out. And then I thought a lot of people probably won't have that punch board. So I want to show you how to make these with nothing but scissors. Super easy. So if you have that punch board, great. And I believe that there's actually a tutorial on Happy Paper People from a couple of years ago on how to use that punch board to make those little file folders, how to use that tab punch board. But if you don't have one, no worries. You don't need one. So let's take one of these that's cut from a previous one. And I want to make some teeny tiny ones. First of all, I'm going to cut this in half. They're going to be teeny. Okay. And I don't want them tall and thin. I want them little teeny tiny. So I'm going to cut off. And, you know, you can always cut more off. If I cut that off and then I decide that's even too big, I can cut more. So there's my teeny tiny file folder. I'm going to cut the front down. I am not going to go 1/2 inch because of its size. 1/2 inch would be way out of proportion. So I'm going to now do a little tiny tab, rounded, cut that section out. And then rounded the corner, and it gave me almost a whole rounded tab on there because it's so small. So I can cut that a little flat on the top. Whoops, just to make it look flatter again. But, you know, again, you can leave it like that, and now you've got a cute little different shaped tab on there. Let's get this corner too. All right, there's a teeny tiny file folder right there. You could do any, literally any size. Aren't they cute? I think they're just adorable. And when you start decorating them, they're so cute when you start decorating them.
So teeny.
I know. They are so cute. Okay, so after you've cut that section off and you've got these two pieces left, what do you do with these two pieces? Well, they can make journal cards, sure. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, these already have built-in tabs. The tabs are already done for me. That's the hardest part for me, is getting the tab right, even though you see how easy that is. So why don't we just take advantage of that built-in tab and make some. If I take this and I fold it in half, but I stop at the base of, I'm going to stop at this center section, which is the lowest part of the top. That's where I'm going to match it up to fold it. You could use your scoreboard. Doesn't really matter. By the time I finish, you know, decorating and stuff, you won't even see, but I am looking for a bullet folder over here if I can get a hold of it. Just to push that down a bit. Is anybody else's allergies killing them right now? Or is it just Utah? Man, they are killing me. Okay, so there we go. If I fold that over, I've already got a built-in tab right here and a built-in tab right there. I'm going to take advantage of that. If I cut that right down the middle, I can cut it there and have a little tab, and cut it there and have, there's two that I don't even have to deal with the tab. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut that right down the middle, put the flat end against the wall, not the rounded end. Okay, and so now I can say, if that's my tab, how wide do I want the tab to be? I mean, these are already pre-made for you. Talk about simple. Just line it up and cut. And there you go. Once you've got that, if you want to round the corners, do. And what does that take? 30 seconds? If that, maybe not even, to whip out a tiny file folder out of that piece. 30 seconds, you can have two. There's one. There's two. Even rounding the corners, you could do all that in 30 seconds. So quick mini file folders. Oh, this is the other end, and still that will work. Wait, where's the section we cut out? Oh, I didn't cut it out. I didn't cut this side out yet. Okay, so I'm going to decide how big I want that tab to be. Do it right there. Now, you could do these out of thin cereal boxes or cracker boxes. You could do it out of cardstock and, you know, make them any size you want. I just love using the file folders because then they look like manila file folders, just miniature manila file folders. And they still have, some of them will still have those score marks in them when you fill the file, you know, really full of stuff. Thank you, Patty. Welcome, welcome. Adding Patty to the list for today's drawing. Patty's got a lucky streak. She's won a couple of times. Okay, so the two pieces I have left from that are this one and this one. So I could actually just leave those as is, and it's a full length, which gives me, you know, it's nice to have that as an option when you're batch making, because that gives me the option of pulling that out and putting a word across that in a journal. On the small ones, that's kind of tough to do. You don't have much room for a word. But this one gives me the option of putting a full word on it. Even though it's small, there's still enough room to get a word on. Because I'm batch making these, and I make a ton and all different sizes, I'm going to leave, I want some of them on the right, some of them on the left. They can even be centered. And I want some of them just with the whole top there. So I'm going to leave a few of those. So Carrie and I were talking about batch making, and, you know, there's a lot of people say they don't like mass making because they want to do things specific to a journal when they're doing the journal. And, you know, absolutely. We all do. We all do. When we do a journal, we want the things to go with that journal. So batch making is, to me, it's different than mass making. Mass making, I'm mass making the same thing over and over again. And when you're doing bases, that is essentially what you're doing. But batch making, I'm just batching prep pieces. Now I've got all these file folders. I could sit down another day and sit down and decorate them. And I could do it with all different colors, all different stamps, all different themes. If I know some themes that are coming up for different books I'm going to make, or I can leave them like this. And then when I'm working on a specific journal, I can pick out the sizes I want, and then I can decorate them specifically for that journal theme. And, you know, I just don't have to take the time to pull out the cutter and the, you know, all the stuff and the file folders and cut them down right there. It just saves time. My thing about doing the journal, it takes me so long to make a journal. And I've realized that is because all the stuff that I like to have in it. And when I go to do it, if I have to pull out everything to make one or two tags in this style or this way, pull out everything to make one or two envelopes, and pull out everything to make one or two file folders, and, you know, Rolodex cards and all the things, it just takes forever because I have to pull out everything to do one or two. So if I'm batch making and I batch a whole bunch of these, then all I have to do is pick which ones I want for that journal and decorate them accordingly. I don't have to start from the beginning in doing the base work. So, hi, Penny. They are so cute, aren't they? It is so good to see you. I love the mini file folders too. I've had these prepped ready to go for a few weeks, well, maybe even a couple months now. And they're so fun. They are so fun. You can do them out of scraps and old file folders, scraps of file folders. Okay, so here's one that I had done before. And it's just the leftover piece of a file folder I tore up and used it for different things. So I didn't want to get rid of it because I can make mini file folders. So all I'm going to do is level that out. So I have a straight edge. And then I'm going to fold it up just like the ones that I literally just did. I'm going to bring it up to this point at the base of the tab. And so I'm letting the file folder do the work. I'm letting it already build that tab in. So I don't even have to make the tab. It's just already there. So all I have to do is fold that in half, burnish it down. Penny, it's great to see you. Okay. And now I can decide how wide I want that to be. This is a little bit bigger one, and that's okay. In fact, that's awesome because the others aren't. I'm going to make it about that big. It is almost 4 inches. Okay. And I can round the corners. In fact, I can round the corners, and then I can look at it and say, all right, do I want to cut that tab down farther, or do I want to leave that tab full length? I think for now, I'm going to leave it full length because when I go to use it, if I decide I want to cut it down, all I have to do is cut that section out. So that's easy to do. So the file folder is prepped and ready to go. So another thing that you can do if you are batch making journal cards and tags like we're going to do next you can cut that base piece off, which is this folded piece, set that aside, knowing that that is for these mini file folders, and put that in the container that you keep those mini file folders in, because then one day you can sit down and just do a ton of those. But if you, oh, there's another one ready to go. But if you want to just cut off sections to use for the journal cards and tags, then cut that bottom piece off first. Now here's one that I wanted a longer file folder, taller from. And so I cut this, instead of cutting it this way, I cut it the short way. And so I have long file folders like this. And you could do that and stick that down into a long pocket or tuck that in a side pocket. And I could also just take this and cut off the bottom piece now, which I think I'll do. And so then I've got that ready to go for a file folder. And then I've got these two pieces, and these two pieces are ready to go for journal cards. And, you know, sometimes we have scraps of paper that I just love this paper. It was so pretty. And I don't want to throw it away. It's not a big enough piece to do a whole lot with, but it's also big enough that I know it's usable and I don't want to just throw it away. So let me quickly do something with that and just make, you know, journal cards. I'm going to trim this down just so, well, either it doesn't have a tab or I can just build a tab into it. The tab can be built by itself. I'm going to trim it down. I'm going to trim it down just a bit. There we go. Just trimming that little edge off. Okay, so these are pieces that can just throw away. I'm not going to keep these anymore. I know they're usable. Everything is usable. However, if you're like me and you can't get to or can't find things because you have so much usable stuff sitting around, get rid of them. Get rid of them. You will be surprised how much better you'll feel if you get rid of things and you are able to get to your supplies to make things. You will enjoy it so much more. I'm no longer going to keep all the things that I can acquire tomorrow if I want it. There's more junk mail coming in tomorrow's mail every single day. So I'm not going to keep a ton of junk mail, a few envelopes on hand at any given time. I'm not going to keep a bunch of packaging from the kitchen because there's more packaging every day. Guaranteed, we're not going to stop eating. There's always more of that. So I'm not going to waste my storage space in my studio with those kinds of things anymore. And little bitty things that are going to be made again. As soon as I start making something, I'm going to have more scraps, more offcuts. So let me get that out of the way.
I need to throw away a whole bunch of cereal boxes.
I did that. And I'm like, they're good. They're good boxes. And absolutely they are.
Yeah.
And also I know that there's going to be more tomorrow. Or if I needed one today, I could go out to the kitchen and, you know, find one, a cracker box, a cereal box, or something. Yeah. Penny, still at your daughter's? Awesome. That means you get to enjoy your grandchildren. I love that. Yes, Margie finally taught me. She finally rubbed off. Okay, so I'm going to, she like, it took forever, but I'm going to then just go to my scraps and find something to cover these with that I can just, you know, you could use old book pages, scraps of book pages. I've got scraps of paper that I just thought were pretty that I didn't want to get rid of. And I'm just going to look for anything that's big enough to cover those. This one is for sure. And in fact, that might cover both. Maybe not. Let's see. That may be long enough to cover both. I'm going to try. One piece of paper out of the way, 2 journal cards. All right. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn it over to the back. I'm going to make sure I can get into my glue with, let's see. I can't see. Get this pin. I need to get a drink. Okay, so I should be able to get into my glue. Don't lose the pin. I'm going to put that over there. So this is wider than my journal cards. And I've got 2 that I want to get top to bottom. That's all really pretty. So I am going to put the glue onto my journal card. Doesn't really matter which side because it's just an old file folder, both sides, and there's no writing or anything on it. So I'm going to put the glue onto the journal card instead of on the paper because I don't know exactly where my parameters are on the paper. But I do on the journal card. And then I'm going to bring that over here. If I get it right up to the edge, that's one less edge I have to trim. There we go. Is it up high enough? Nope. Let's see if I can get it up a little higher. There we go. And if I have to put a little more glue on that, I will. Okay, and then the other journal card here. I will wait until after I put the paper on them to round the corners or scallop the corners or do any kind of, decorative corner or edging or a hole if you want to use it as a tag and put an eyelet or ribbon through it or something like that. And I'm going to bring this one right up to that edge. I'm going to bring it right to the bottom edge and hopefully leave just enough room in between there to cut. That was kind of the perfect length. So one scrap, I get the 2 cards. Let's see if I can cut it in half, right where it bends. It cuts a little bit of the journal card off. It's no big deal. It's a file folder. And it hasn't even been decorated yet. So what I love about using these scraps of paper, I don't really feel like I have to decorate that. That's a great journal card ready to go. So if I don't have time or don't feel like decorating it because it's already so pretty, I'm going to scallop these corners. There we go. Some scalloped corners, pretty journal card, ready to go. Super easy. Now, the next one, let's do that one a little bit differently. I'm just going to trim off the excess paper. That was a pretty big offcut paper, and the entire thing is gone now. I do love that. And I used it. It was really pretty. I did not want to throw it away, so I used it. I can use these too, and when I'm batch making, there's something else that I will do. I don't know that we have time to do today, but that I will use these strip offcuts for. And I'll do that as my next thing while I'm still sitting here. And then when I'm done with that, anything that's left from that goes straight into the trash. But then I'm getting 2 or 3 things out of, as the piece of paper gets smaller and smaller, I get more things out of it. And let's see, what direction was that? I think that was the top. Yeah, that's facing up. Okay, so I could put a tab on the top. If my paper has enough excess paper to punch a tab out of, it does not. Okay. Or I can use the excess paper just to make a strip tab like that. It doesn't always have to be the shape of a punch. I could make this punch. I could make the rounded punch tab. But I don't have enough left of that, and if I want it matching, but I could do a little loop tab like that. That would work. If you don't have one of the tab punches, the other thing that I'll do if I have enough paper is just punch a circle out, and then fold the circle in half over the top, and that becomes the tab. And the size of the circle I use just depends on how big my tag is. You could actually have that tab go all the way from side to side. You could just have it go in a little section in the center. So depending how big you want it. So this one, the other thing is I can do that tab before I glue this down. I don't think that's art glitter glue, so probably not going to come up. But if I wanted to, I could put the tab on underneath my paper. If I know I have plenty of room, I could cut the tab out and put the tab on before I put the paper on. And then when I glue the paper on, it's covering the tab. I could make that work. whether it's a loop or the actual tab itself. You could put it underneath the paper like that. So there's not a whole lot there to use. So I'm not going to put a tab on this one, but let me glue that back down. And to get the pin back in it. I hear you, Margie. I hear you yelling at me. So like this one, I had some extra, so I just cut a tab out and then put the tab on the top. There's a couple here out of this paper that I had extra, and so I cut a couple of those. And so I could put the tab, on here. So I think I'm going to do that. I've got these matching tabs just as well. You could also put this tab onto a file folder to coordinate the mini file folder with a tag or a journal card that you're doing. You've got some left over of the scrap. You could cut out other things to carry that throughout. Fold that in half. Okay, so got to pull the pin out to be able to put glue on. You know, I like using it all. I really hate wasting paper, especially pretty paper. It's really hard to throw it away. So I get your thoughts about, I don't want to throw that away. It's pretty and it's usable, which is why I attempt to use as much of it as I can in one sitting. Okay, so there's a tab on that one. And then when you decorate it, if you don't like this seam right here, you can put something over the top of it. You could also, as I mentioned, put that underneath this paper before you put that paper on. You're ready to go. So, okay, so you see how to make those. Those are super easy. Now this one is just one piece cut. So let's say I had this right here. And I'm going to cut this off and make a small file folder. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to set it aside for a mini file folder. And then I'm going to take these two pieces here. And they are already perfect to be tags or cards, journal cards, and have the tab built in. So I am going to, I'm not going to round it. Well, it depends. It depends on whether you want to include paper on here or not, because I could do paper up to here and then leave the tab. But if I cover the whole thing like this, I will cover it first, and then when I round that corner, the paper is with it and they get the exact same rounding. So let me do that. So I've got these two here. I'll do one this way and one that way so that I have tabs on two different sides. Let's see if we've got some big enough paper. Actually, this would be really pretty if it's big enough. That'd be really pretty right there. Okay. And on this one, trying to find a scrap that is pretty close to that size, because if it is, I'm going to be able to use the entire scrap. So, and the other thing is, oh, look at that. Wow. You might look for scraps that are specific colors of things, projects that you have coming up. When I do these, when I batch make these, I am trying to do them with multiple colors, sizes. There we go. Colors, sizes, styles. I don't want them to all be the same. I don't want them to all be vintage or all, any particular genre, because I want to be able to, when I'm doing a journal, to be able to go through it and find something that will fit with that one. And if they're all the same, I'm going to have a hard time doing that. So I want a variety of colors, sizes, styles. Okay. So again, I know my scrap is bigger than my tag, so I'm putting the glue on the smallest component. And if I line that up to the corner, then I'm only going to have to trim up 2 sides. There we go. Okay. And this one, I want to get that piano on there, but I also like to get some of that rose. So I may not go all the way to the corner or to the edge on that one. I will cut some of that off because I want to get some of that rose in there with the piano. Is anybody making along with us today? Or is everybody just having fun chatting with each other and go back and make them later? So while I'm asking you that, let me also remind you about our current challenge. It just started last week, and this is a challenge issued by Margie Fifi. And we love Margie's challenges. They're always great challenges. This side. And Margie's challenge is trains. Trains. That is, if you say, what kind of train? Yes. Any kind of train. This kind of train? Yes. That kind of train? Yes. Any kind of train you want. You interpret trains in any way you want. I was going to throw out a bunch of ideas, and I don't even want to do that because I don't want to make it seem like you have to do something or the other. Anything that train triggers in your mind that you can relate it to train, whether it's the size, the shape, the style, just the theme, decorated, whatever. Train is your theme. And we have until October 26th, which is a Sunday night at midnight, to make that train journal. Every week, there are 7 weeks in there. So every week at Monday Jumpstart, we will get a prompt of something to include in that journal. Now, that prompt does not have to be done that week. If you do it that week, it, makes it easier maybe because you're not having to pile it all up and do it all at one time. But the prompt does not have to be done in that week. So last week was the first week, the very first week. And the prompt was 3 tags, to make 3 tags. So I saw a couple posts having made 3 tags. And so that's one thing that, they won't have to do later. It's already done. But again, it does not have to be done in that week. You could do the entire journal and all the prompts in 1 week if that's the way you work best. Now that's a really pretty piece that will work nicely. And let's see, I might use that in my after. Okay. Melanie's making awesome. Hey, KK, good to see you. Dog sitting away from my house. Oh, so you have to wait till you're home. Yeah, that is totally understandable. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is cut out the tab because the tab is already made on the file folder. All I have to do is follow the edge, and I don't have to worry about getting my swoopy curves straight. It's already on the file folder. Love that. Okay, I forgot to cut this one. I only had 2 sides to have to cut. There we go. And I'm not even going to do that. I'll do that with scissors. And this just makes really pretty journal cards all ready to go, already with a built-in tab. They're just nice. And if you just pull out your scraps and do all kinds of themes, all kinds of colors, you could batch make 100 of these in an afternoon and have them ready to go for any journals that you're going to be doing. Okay, so there are 2 completely different style and themed journal cards. I'm going to round up the corners. They're open to be decorated if they need to be, and not if they're not. When I go to put them in a journal, I might decide that I want to punch a hole and hang something from this little tab. Maybe, but it's all ready to go. So that's just quick and easy. It might be perfect as it is. I might want to do a little stamping on the back, very light so that it can be written over. I might even want to stamp some lines in for journaling. You know, a lot of you have stamps that do lines. So there you have just completely different, you know, styles, cards ready, and they're durable. I love that they're thick. They're file folder weight. They're easy to write on when you're journaling. I like to write on something that I feel like isn't going to break under my pen when I'm journaling. Hey, Toby. Good to see you. It's been a while. Oh, KK. 2 parents in assisted living. Mom had a hip replacement. 3 deaths in our family now. Husband in and out of hospital. KK, I am with you. You haven't been here for a while. So, yeah, I haven't heard updates with you, and you haven't heard updates with me. But that is almost identical to my family this year. It has been a crazy year, hasn't it? I will keep you in my prayers. That is a lot. I totally understand. That is a lot. Train, train, train. Train of fools. Love train. No fools. Love train. So Toby, jump into the challenge. The challenge is in the group. It is pinned in the featured posts up at the top. So if you just go to featured, it's the first one there. Click on that post. So you go open it up, read it. There's a whole list of trains in there to give you some ideas. I mean, cartoon trains, zoo trains, circus trains, diesel trains, locomotive trains, bridal trains, anything that you think of that relates to trains in any way is game for this challenge. So I love all these mini file folders. Now I want to sit down and just do some stamping and edging and get them all ready to go. Has 2 blocked. Oh no, surgery on 1. We were afraid they would lose him since his heart was down 10%. He's finally get the second one in 2 weeks. Wow, KK, I understand that. I really do understand that. Keeping him in our prayers as well. That is tough. And don't anybody misunderstand that being the caretaker of family members who are having things like that go on. It is just as tough on you in a different way. Takes a toll on you in a different way. So don't forget self-care, whether that is to sit in the bathtub, to go for a walk, to just vegetate with music and headphones so you get away from, you know, your day, or to sit down and create something to get your creativity, get your creative, you know, mind going. Whatever it is, don't forget to do things for yourself so that you have the strength to keep going and keep taking care of family members when you have stuff like that going on. All of you, y'all do. Sylvia's got a ton of stuff in her family right now. KK's got a ton of stuff. You know, Margie, there's always stuff. Everybody has stuff. It's just different at different times. And sometimes it's ourselves, and sometimes it is others in our family. But either way, it takes a toll on you. So, Carrie, you need to ice your shoulder when we're done here, as do I.
Yes.
I will take my own advice and ice my shoulder. Okay, let's get to our drawing. Help me, correct me if I'm wrong. I have Margie, Carrie, Chris, Jill, and Patty as the super chat in the drawing. Does that look right to you, Carrie?
I think so. let me go through again.
Perfect. Well, I'm getting the names in here.
Margie, me,
Sylvia, wait.
Chris, Jill.
Sylvia, do we need to get Sylvia in as well?
She's paying the shipping.
She has problems with super chat.
Maybe she wants in on the drawing. I don't know.
She will PayPal. Sylvia, did you want to in on the drawing? I know you have problems with your super chat working.
6.
But if you're sending $10, then I want you in on the drawing as well. Oh, and I said Jill. Yeah, Jill.
We have 6.
Okay, so Margie, Carrie, Chris, Jill, Patty, Sylvia. Did I miss somebody?
Let me call them out as I see them. Margie, me, Chris, Jill, Glynis, Patty, and Sylvia if she's in.
Got it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got it.
7, yeah.
Glynis is probably busy making. Okay, so Margie, Chris, Sylvia, Jill. Okay, let me get the rest of these in here.
My hair's so long that when I close my glue, I got hair stuck in it and hold it.
I get that. I cut 10 inches off my hair last week. It's terrible because I would turn around and my hair would be caught under my arm.
Yes.
My arm, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Get tangled in it.
Yes. Caught in my shirt, caught in my arm. I can't do this.
Silly.
I know. It's kind of, it makes me laugh at the same time. It's just in the way. So I just had to cut some off. Okay. I have Margie, Carrie, Sylvia, Jill, Patty, Glynis, and Chris in no particular order. If you did a super chat and we missed you, please speak up now in chat. I think we got them all.
Glynis says me. So we got her though.
Yep. Got you, Glynis. Thank you. Glynis, are you busy making? That's why you couldn't chat. I know Glynis is working on her train journal and she's got some cute things so far. Can't wait to see. You don't have to post updates on it. You can if you want to. I like if you can post your prompt for the week, like the 3 tags, then nobody has to see your journal. If you want to wait and do that at the very end, that is totally okay. But you can post the prompt so we can see little bits and pieces along the way. KK's cooking and washing dishes. Sylvia and I say no. So Sylvia and Margie contributed super chat, but they want to stay out of the drawing. Okay, I understand that. You don't want me to put you in and then you can give it away? But probably no, because then I have to decide who to give it to. So give me a second just to back Sylvia and Margie out. As I put, and then I'm going to put everybody in one more time so the wheel is full. Hopefully I get all of theirs out. Everybody else is going, yay, that's more chances for me to win. Let's see, Margie, Sylvia. And then we need this week's prompt. Okay, I'm going to, Mary, Jill, Patty, Glynis, Chris. Okay, I'm going to do that all one more time. So there is many chances on the wheel. This is something I can't have done ahead of time because we don't know who is going to participate. So I'm going to share my screen now and get that wheel of names over here. There we go. Now y'all can see the wheel of names covering my file folders. Nice. Okay, I pulled Sylvia and Margie out. And yep, Chris's fingers crossed, fingers, toes crossed. Prompt 3 tabs. Oh, hey, that's a good one.
What?
3 tabs. We did 3 journal cards last week. I didn't have that on my list, but we could. How does that sound to you, Carrie?
Yeah, 3 tabs is great.
3 tabs. So that could be a tab in a mini file folder. It could be a tab on a journal card. So we just did 2 different ones here. But if you're doing more than one signature, and I say that loosely because this train journal can be anything you want. It does not have to be any standard, straight, what traditional. That's the word I'm looking for. It does not have to be traditional anything. I'm trying to get the pin back into my glue.
Good luck.
I know. I left it out too long and now it's all right. I'm going to take that top off and clean it. All right, here we go. The prompt for this week. We're going to go with that. Margie called it. We're going to go with 3 tabs. Week 1 was 3 tags with a G. Week 2 is 3 tabs with a B. So mini file folder tabs, journal card tabs, anything with a tab on it. Love it, Margie. Great idea. All right, here goes the wheel of names. I'm going to click right out of that and go up to YouTube so I don't holler it out before it happens. Let's see when YouTube shows up. There you go. And your winner is Glynis. Whoop, whoop. Congratulations, Glynis.
Yeah.
So Glynis knows the routine. She can PayPal $5 shipping, or she can PayPal $10 shipping, in which we'll fill up a flat rate envelope. And your box might be getting close to full with that, Glynis. But you know I'm going to try to compress everything and get more in there because I like to make best use of your shipping dollars to Canada. It is not cheap to ship to Canada, so we like to do the best we can with that. So I know, Chris, you were right next to it. It always is that last person that it just thinks about and pops over to the next one. It's always like, ah, darn it. Congratulations, Glennis. Thank you, everybody who participated. Thank you all. Let me remove this. Thank you all for being here today. And thanks to Carrie for joining me today. Your file folders are cute. These are adorable. Oh, Sylvia's paying $10 for Glennis. Awesome. Thank you, Sylvia. That is very generous of you. Appreciate that. And yeah, post pictures of your mini file folders and of all different sizes and anything you do. If you're decorating them, decorate a couple for your train journal, whatever, style that might be. Doesn't mean they have to have trains on them. I didn't have any pictures of trains and I didn't have any stamps of trains. So my tags didn't have trains on them, but they'll go into my journal. So, all right. Thank you for the creativity. You are so welcome. Post pictures. Definitely. We love to see the pictures of anything that you're making. It doesn't have to just be this. Anything you're working on, post pictures. It's inspiring to everyone. You guys have the rest of a great day and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Carrie. Appreciate you being here.